My beloved children, listen with your hearts to what I come to tell you today. I do not speak to a single nation, nor to a small group, nor to a limited time. I speak to all peoples, to all languages, to all hearts that are still capable of feeling an inner stirring when heaven bends toward earth. I speak to you, who stand before these words, perhaps weary, perhaps wounded, perhaps confused, but deeply sought by God. I am your mother. I am not an idea, not a cold symbol, not a lifeless image. I am the woman who stood at the foot of the cross, the one who treasured every word of my Son in her heart, the one who has silently accompanied the history of humanity ever since. I have seen wars, I have seen empires rise and fall, I have seen entire generations forget God, and I have seen simple souls remain faithful in the midst of darkness. And now, in this time when the noise of the world has grown as never before, I come to speak to you with an urgency I cannot silence. Many of my children live as if God were an ancient story, something to remember only in moments of extreme pain or on special occasions. They have grown accustomed to walking without lifting their eyes to heaven, adapted to living without prayer, without gratitude, without asking for guidance. And yet, the emptiness remains, hidden behind distractions, screens, and the rush of daily life. That emptiness you sometimes feel at night when everything goes dark and you are left alone with yourself is not a coincidence. It is the soul crying out for the one who created it. It is my voice, very soft, knocking on the door of your heart and asking, "Will you let me in?" My children, the world has reached a point where many can no longer distinguish good from evil. What was once clearly recognized as sin is now celebrated as freedom. What was once defended as sacred is now despised as obsolete. Life is wounded from its beginning to its end. Families are destroyed. Bodies are desecrated. The innocence of children is shattered. And truth is manipulated as if it were an object that each person can mold to their liking. From on high, with a mother's heart, I contemplate all this, and my eyes fill with tears not of hatred, but of sorrow at seeing how so many of my children wound themselves without realizing it. I have not come to condemn you. If you are hearing these words, it is because my heart has long sought you. Perhaps you have strayed from the faith. Perhaps you have been hurt within the church. Perhaps you cannot bear to hear the name of God because you associate it with people who were inconsistent. I know your reasons, I know your wounds. And despite all that, I continue to repeat your name in the presence of my Son, praying for you, interceding for your story, pleading that you not be lost amidst so much confusion. In these times, the enemy of souls has increased his deception. He has filled the earth with voices that oppose the truth and has sown doubt even among believers. He makes many wonder if my messages are real, if my calls to conversion are necessary, if sin truly exists or is merely an invention. My children, the greatest triumph of the evil one is to lull the soul to sleep, to make it lose its spiritual sensitivity, to make it no longer feel sorrow for offending God, nor joy for loving Him. When the heart hardens in this way, it no longer responds even to the greatest love. That is why I speak to you today with such force and, at the same time, with such tenderness. I want you to know that there is still time to return. It is still possible to change course. It is still possible to avert many painful consequences if there are hearts that humble themselves and return to God with sincerity. I am not announcing an inevitable end, but a battle in which your decision matters. The world is at a crossroads and every soul counts. Look around you. On every continent, the same cries are heard: violence, injustice, corruption, loneliness. But also, in silence, in hidden places, there are souls who kneel, who weep for their sins, who offer sacrifices, who pray the rosary, who consecrate themselves to my immaculate heart. They sustain the world more than you can imagine. You can join them. Don't think you are too small or too sinful to make a difference. A single soul that truly surrenders itself can draw mercy upon many. Throughout history, I have come to different parts of the world to repeat the same call: prayer, conversion, penance, return to God. Some listened, others mocked. Some changed their lives, others preferred to remain asleep. Now, this call is no longer for a specific people, nor for a small group of visionaries. It is a global call. It is a cry of love directed to all the faithful, and also to those who consider themselves far away. This message transcends borders, languages, and cultures because the spiritual danger is also global. There is a battle you cannot see with your eyes, but you feel it deep within. Sometimes you find yourself torn. One part of you desires goodness, prayer, peace, while another part seeks immediate pleasure, revenge, indifference. This struggle is not merely psychological, it is spiritual. My enemy wants to convince you that nothing matters, that everything is relative, that you can live without God and still be fine. I, as your mother, come to tell you the truth. There is no full life apart from Him. You may possess things, you may be successful, you may receive applause, but your soul will remain thirsty. I want you to remember how many times you were protected without even knowing it. Think about the moments when you could have died, the accidents that were prevented, the decisions you changed at the last minute, the tears someone shed for you before God. None of that was by chance. My hand was there, invisible but real, stopping, guiding, inspiring. I couldn't always prevent your falls because God respects your freedom, but I never stopped being by your side. Even when you voluntarily strayed, I kept searching for you. Today, my message is directed especially to the faithful, to those who profess to believe, to those who participate in the church, to those who invoke me, yet live divided. My children, it is not enough to pronounce my name. It is not enough to light a candle now and then. It is not enough to have a lukewarm heart that loves me only when it suits it. I ask you for fidelity, consistency, and depth. I ask you to live the gospel not only in words but in concrete decisions. In your work, in your family, in your relationships, in your use of money, in the way you treat the poor, the sick, and the despised. There are many who call themselves Catholic, Christian, consecrated, but they bargain with sin, justify the unjustifiable, settle for less, and remain silent when they should defend the truth. At the same time, they harshly judge others, feel superior, and shut themselves up in their own self-assurance. My children, this lukewarmness deeply wounds the heart of my Son. He died for all with total love, and in return, He often receives indifference, routine, and empty habit. My call is also for you. Return to your first love. Return to the freshness of the beginning. Return to sincere tears before the tabernacle. Many of you, even though you believe, are afraid. Afraid of the future, afraid of the news, afraid of illness, afraid of economic crises, afraid of losing what you have. This fear paralyzes you, imprisons you, separates you from one another. I tell you, if you knew how much God loves you, this fear would begin to dissolve. I don't promise you a life without difficulties, but I do assure you that if you surrender yourselves, you will lack nothing essential. You will be sustained in the midst of storms. You will not be spared every cross, but no cross will be given to you without the grace to bear it. My global alert is not meant to instill terror, awaiting punishment, or feeding morbid curiosity. No, my children, My alert is an invitation to awaken. The time for a superficial faith is over. Heaven needs steadfast souls, resolute hearts, and families united in prayer. It needs holy priests, faithful, consecrated persons, courageous young people, elders who intercede, and children who trust. It needs you just as you are, but willing to be transformed. Perhaps you're wondering, what should I do then? How do I respond to this call? And I answer you simply, like a mother whispering in her child's ear. Begin by making space for God each day. Don't say you don't have time. The world offers you hours of empty entertainment, but denies you a few minutes of silence. Take up the rosary you may have put away and pray it again, even if it's difficult at first. Read the Word of God and let it challenge you. Seek confession, even if it's been years since your last visit. Don't be afraid to show your wounds. Mine, too, were pierced by a sword, and I know what it means to suffer. I want you to understand that this is only the beginning of what I have to reveal to you. I still need to show you more clearly how the world will be purified, how the light will touch consciences, how every soul will see itself in the truth. But before that, I need you to accept something fundamental. You are not alone. You do not fight alone. You do not walk alone. In every part of the world, there are other children of mine who are hearing these same words, feeling the same call, shedding the same tears. You do not know each other, but you are united in my heart. As you continue listening, I want you to hold within you a phrase I will repeat again and again. There is still time, but don't waste it. Each passing day is an opportunity to love more, to heal more, to trust more. Don't wait for spectacular signs to believe. The greatest sign is this inner stirring you feel now, this restlessness that is not fear, but recognition. My voice is familiar to you because your soul, deep down, knows it has a mother in heaven. I will continue speaking to you. There are truths I still need to gently unveil, wounds I must touch carefully so as not to break you, secrets of mercy I want to pour out upon you and upon the whole world. But I need you to stay with me, not to close your heart, not to silence this voice as soon as this message ends. Because what is to come, if you stay with me, will not be for your destruction, but for your deepest awakening. And this awakening only begins now, in this very moment when you choose, within your freedom, whether you will truly listen to your mother or whether you will return to the voices that lead you away from the truth. My son, my daughter, if you have come this far, it is because, deep down, you have allowed my voice to pierce the noise that surrounds you. That in itself is a grace. But now I need to take you deeper, because what I wish to reveal to you is not only comfort, but also a truth that sometimes hurts. However, do not be afraid. When the truth comes from God, even pain becomes a path to healing. Listen carefully. The world cannot continue to be built on lies, on injustice, on contempt for the sacred. Everything that rises up against God's law seems strong for a time, seems to triumph, seems to dominate, but its foundation is fragile, and sooner or later it collapses. I see how many human structures, systems, ideologies are sustained only because people are afraid of losing their certainties. But my son did not come to secure lies. He came to tear down what oppresses and to build up what is true. And when the truth enters, the first thing it does is illuminate. There is a great light prepared for souls, a light not created by human hands or any science. It is a light that comes from the very heart of God. When that light touches the earth in a special way, it will not be to destroy but to reveal what lies within each person, to reveal what has been hidden beneath excuses, masks, and appearances. Many have heard of a time when consciences will be enlightened, when each person will see their life as God sees it. My son, my daughter, this is not an empty threat. It is a work of mercy. Imagine for a moment that you enter a room that has been dark for years. Inside are objects, memories, accumulated dust, broken things that were never fixed. You learn to move around in that darkness by groping, stumbling, adapting. But one day, without warning, someone turns on a very bright lamp. Suddenly, you see everything. The mess, the dirt, what fell on the floor, and you never picked up, the corners you always avoided looking at. It might be uncomfortable, it might be embarrassing, but it's also the only real opportunity to clean, tidy up, restore. This will be the case to a degree you cannot now imagine when the light of God touches your conscience. It will not be a distant light in the sky, but a light within you. You will see, not with the eyes of your body, but with the eyes of your soul. Every moment you were loved and did not recognize it. Every grace you received and rejected. Every time you did good motivated by love. But also every time you chose selfishness, lies, and hardness of heart. You will see it with a clarity that now seems impossible. I'm not telling you this to paralyze you with fear, but to prepare you. Because those who know they are awaited by the light begin right now to cleanse the house of their hearts. They draw near to forgiveness, seek reconciliation, and open their wounds so they can be gently touched. On the other hand, those who close themselves off, who harden their hearts, who mock, will experience that light as unbearable, not because the light is cruel, but because their hearts will have turned to stone. Many of my children ask me, "Mother, what will that moment be like? Will we see signs in the sky? Will we hear voices? Will we have visions?" Some even become obsessed with details, dates, and places, trying to calculate and control what cannot be controlled. My son, my daughter, the most important question is not how or when, but what state will my soul be in when that moment arrives? It is useless to know all the prophecies if your heart remains cold. The enemy knows how to distract even with religious matters when he manages to turn you away from concrete conversion. I will tell you, however, something you need to know. This inner illumination will be universal. It will not be limited to any particular age, culture, or religion. It will be an offering to everyone because God wants everyone to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. But not everyone will respond in the same way. Some will fall to their knees and weep with both sorrow and love, feeling for the first time what their sin caused in the heart of my son. Others will be enraged at seeing themselves so clearly, rejecting this vision, trying to flee from it. And there will also be those who, having hardened their hearts so much, will barely feel anything, like a stone that no longer reacts to fire. That's why I'm speaking to you now, beforehand, in this time of preparation. I want you to begin to look at your life honestly, but hand in hand with me. I'm not asking you to judge yourself with destructive harshness, but rather to accept and call what is wrong by its name. Think about your past. Are there people you haven't forgiven? Are there sins you never confessed out of shame? Are there decisions you made knowing they would wound God's heart, and yet you still stand by them? I don't want you to run away from these questions. I want you to bring them to light, little by little, with me by your side. I'll now guide you through some specific points. Consider, for example, the way you speak. How often have your words been like stones rather than balm? How many whispers? How many slanders? How many uncharitable criticisms have flowed from your lips? Every hurtful word lingers in the soul of the other person, and in your own as well. In the moment of reckoning, you will see the echo of those words, not to humiliate you gratuitously, but so that you may understand the power of what you say. But if you begin now to make amends, to ask for forgiveness, to speak differently, you too will see how mercy covers those wounds. Look also at how you love. Have you used people as if they were objects to fill your loneliness? Have you closed your heart to those who needed help because you didn't have time? Have you put your work, your money, your entertainment above your family, your children, your husband, your wife? Every time you chose to love less, a small chasm was created within you. The light will reveal it, but it will also reveal every hidden act of love, every secret sacrifice, every tear offered in silence. Nothing is lost. Nothing given out of love is meaningless before God. I also want you to think about how you have treated your own soul. Perhaps you have neglected yourself spiritually for years. You have fed your body, cared for your appearance, sought material comfort, but you have let your inner self starve. You have allowed fear, hopelessness, and resentment to become your constant companions. My son, my daughter, that is not what God intended for you. The light will clearly reveal this spiritual poverty. However, if you begin now to ask, Lord, teach me to care for my soul, you will already be creating a space so that this moment will not catch you completely unprepared. Many faithful believe this great work of mercy will only affect those who are far away, but it will also have a profound impact on those who believe they are close. There will be consecrated persons, priests, religious, and other church servants who will see their lukewarmness, their double lives, their failures to show love. They will see the harm they caused when they were the source of scandal, confusion, and abuse, not because God wants to destroy them, but because only the truth heals what has been hidden. Pray for them. Do not judge them harshly, because only God knows the weight of each story, but neither should you idealize them. The church is holy because God is holy, but it is made up of fragile people who need conversion just as much as you do. I ask you, in this time of preparation, to pray especially for the church. The enemy desires to destroy her from within, not just from without. He wants to divide the pastors, confuse the faithful, and mix truth and falsehood so that many will not know what to believe. But I tell you, stand firm. Do not abandon ship in the midst of the storm. Increase your prayer, offer simple sacrifices, and support your priests with your intercession. There are souls who, through hidden prayers, will remain standing when everything seems to be crumbling. Perhaps you feel that all of this is too much for you. You see yourself as limited, flawed, and weak, and you think, what can I do in the face of something so immense? And I answer you, you can do exactly what touches God's heart. Humbly offer your smallness. You don't need to be perfect to respond. You need to be sincere. You need to say, Mother, here I am with my shortcomings, my fears, my failings, but I don't want to continue living as if everything were the same. I want to prepare myself. I want my life to have meaning in your eyes and in the eyes of your Son. If you pray this prayer from your heart, even with simple words, something will begin to change. You will feel a struggle, yes, because the enemy does not give up easily. He will bring distractions, weariness, doubts. He will tell you that you are exaggerating, that you can leave it for later, that it doesn't matter. But every time you return to my heart and to the heart of Jesus, you will receive a new grace. Even if you don't feel it, it will be real. And that grace will sustain you when the light is strongest. I also want to talk to you about families. The home is the first place where God's light wants to enter, but it is also the place where the enemy has attacked most violently. He has sown division between spouses, broken down communication, confused children, and poisoned love. Many homes have become spaces of shouting, aggressive silences, indifference, and hidden addictions. In the illumination of their consciences, families will see clearly how they have hurt one another and how much pain could have been avoided with a little more humility and forgiveness. Don't wait for that to happen to start changing. Speak up, forgive, ask for forgiveness. Take back words you know don't come from God. Let prayer into your home. Even if it's just a simple Our Father before bed, a Hail Mary prayed hand in hand with your children. A brief moment of silence where everyone comes before God without masks. These gestures, which seem insignificant to the world, carry immense weight in heaven. They prepare the way so that the light, when it arrives, won't be completely foreign. Perhaps you're embarrassed to pray as a family because you don't know how to begin, because you're afraid of how others will react. Remember then that I am by your side. Ask me for courage. Ask me for creativity. Say to me, Mother, give me the grace to take the first step in my home. And you will see how, at the right moment, the words will flow, the situation will open up, hearts will soften. It won't be magic, it will be grace. But grace needs your yes. I have spoken to you about the world, about souls, about the church, about families. Now I speak directly to you, in the singular. You who read or hear these words. You with your name, with your unique story. You are not a number in a crowd. You are not a face lost among millions. You are a son, a daughter, for whom my son gave his life to the last drop of blood. You are someone whose face I gaze upon with tenderness, even when you cannot stand yourself. Perhaps you have thought that your life has little value, that it is too late to change, that your mistakes are stronger than your desire for good. Today, I want to uproot that lie from your heart. Listen carefully. As long as you have breath, as long as your heart beats, as long as you can utter the name of Jesus, it is not too late. It doesn't matter how far you have strayed, how many times you have fallen, how many sins you consider unforgivable. If you come to Him with sincerity, if you acknowledge your own smallness, He will embrace you, and I will be there, by your side, holding you up. What the great light will reveal is not only your misery, but above all, the immensity of the mercy that has always accompanied you. You will see how, even in the darkest moments, an invisible hand held you up so that you would not be completely lost. Therefore, my son, my daughter, do not look to the future with terror, but with responsibility. This is not a time for morbid curiosity or human calculations. It is a time for saying yes, for surrender, for trust. I am preparing you because I love you, because I desire that, when God's great act of love is poured out upon the world, you will be ready to receive it and not to reject it. Stay with me. Don't go. There are still profound things I must share with you, aspects of this great work of mercy that I haven't yet described, concrete paths to living in peace amidst what is to come. But every word that follows will only have meaning if you let this one first penetrate your heart. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not insignificant. All of heaven bows down to you when you say, from the depths of your being, "Yes, Mother, I want to listen. I want to learn. I want to prepare my soul." Arisen, and while many on earth continue running without looking to the heavens, you and I at this moment remain here, before this truth that grows silently within you, calling you by name, inviting you to take another step on this path of awakening that is not yet over. My son, my daughter, now I want to take you even deeper, to where you almost never let anyone in, because you are afraid they will discover who you truly are. Do not be afraid. I have not come to expose you in order to humiliate you, but to uncover what is hidden so that it can be healed. The great work that heaven is preparing is not just a warning. It is an act of inner purification, a unique opportunity for reconciliation and change. But in order for you to experience it fruitfully, you need to learn something the world has forgotten: how to remain humble. Pride is one of the deepest roots of evil in humanity. Pride clothes the heart in armor that seems strong, but in reality, it suffocates it. It makes you believe you don't need anyone, that you can walk alone, that you decide good and evil according to your own criteria. It is the same poison the enemy has poured out from the beginning: the illusion of being like God without God. Look around you. How often pride disguises itself as intelligence, power, success, self-defense. How often, even among those who claim to love God, pride destroys friendships, communities, and families. When God's light touches your heart more intensely, pride will be one of the first things to surface. You'll see times when you rejected help just to avoid appearing weak, times when you chose to be right over love, arguments where you hurt the other person to win. You'll see how, out of pride, you closed doors God wanted to open, burned bridges He wanted to maintain, and dried tears He wanted to comfort through you. It may hurt to see this, but I assure you, it will be liberating if you allow yourself to be guided. Therefore, from now on, I invite you to practice humility in concrete ways, not in pretty words, but in simple gestures. Accept the need to apologize when you make a mistake, even in small things. Learn to listen before you respond. Acknowledge your limitations without despairing. Don't always seek to be the center of attention. Don't strive to be seen, to be applauded, to be the most righteous. Humility opens the heart to grace in a way that no other virtue can. The proud harden their hearts in the face of the light. The humble allow themselves to be illuminated and transformed. I also want to talk to you about mercy, because many people have a mistaken image of it. They believe that mercy is permissiveness, that loving means leaving everything as it is, never correcting, never pointing out the danger. My son, my daughter, that is not love, it is abandonment. I, as your mother, cannot remain silent when I see you approaching the precipice. True mercy always unites tenderness and truth. It embraces you, but it also shows you the way. It comforts you, but it also calls you to get up. It forgives you, but it invites you to turn away from sin. In the great act of enlightenment upon consciences, you will see how God's mercy was present even in the moments when it seemed absent. You will see how, after each fall, paths back were offered to you. How, in decisions you now consider irreparable, there were people placed in your life to help you. How, even in your most hidden sins, a gentle voice suggested good to you. That voice, so often ignored, was that of my son. It was mine. We were not far away, even though you felt us to be far away. I want to pause for a moment on something very important: the forgiveness you deny yourself. There are many children who have confessed their sins, who have asked God for forgiveness, and yet they remain chained to the past because they do not forgive themselves. They live punishing themselves for mistakes that have already been washed away by the blood of my son. My son, my daughter, listen to this carefully. If God, who is holy, has forgiven you when you were sincere, who are you to bear a condemnation that He has already lifted? That false guilt does not come from heaven, it comes from the enemy, who wants to keep you paralyzed looking back without hope. When the light reveals your story, if you have already surrendered your sins to mercy, you will see not condemnation, but gratitude. You will feel pain for having wounded love, but that pain will mingle with profound joy at seeing how much you have been forgiven. He who is forgiven much loves much. If today it seems to you that your life is marked by too many mistakes, do not despair. Accept the grace to begin again, to love more, to repair with present charity what sin destroyed in the past. Now, I want to talk to you about prayer, because without it, you won't be able to sustain yourself in the times to come. Many believe that praying is just reciting words, repeating formulas, fulfilling a duty. In this way, prayer becomes burdensome, empty, and boring. But true prayer is an encounter, a dialogue from heart to heart. It is presenting yourself before God without masks, without defenses, like a child sitting on its father's lap. It is also sitting with me, your mother, to open your soul to me as you would to a faithful friend who doesn't betray you, who doesn't speak ill of you, who doesn't mock you. Don't be ashamed if you don't know how to pray well. Don't worry if you get distracted, if you get tired, if sometimes you're left in silence, unsure of what to say. What matters is that you're there, that you show up, that you give it your time and your heart. From now on, I invite you to make prayer a daily habit, not only when you feel like it, but also when you don't, especially then, because in those moments, your faithfulness matters even more. Heaven sees when you persevere, when you don't let yourself be guided solely by feelings. I especially ask you to take up the Holy Rosary again. If you have stopped praying it, it is not an empty repetition. It is a spiritual weapon. As you repeat the Hail Mary, your mind may be distracted by your problems, but your soul is aligning itself with the heart of God. It is like a breath of the Spirit. Each bead prayed well, even if it seems insignificant, is a flower offered, a broken chain, a ray of light that descends upon you and upon those for whom you intercede. The moment that great light touches consciences, those who have become accustomed to living in prayer will feel a special strength to bear the truth without despairing. I also want to talk to you about the sacraments, because many of the faithful have lost their profound meaning, especially confession and the Eucharist. There are those who go years without confession, as if they had nothing to examine, as if their soul weren't important. Others go to confession mechanically, without sorrow, without a real intention of change. Confession is not a formality. It is an encounter with my Son, who awaits you in the priest to cleanse your soul. Every good confession weakens chains you have long carried, closes doors the enemy has tried to open. I urge you not to wait for that great moment of enlightenment to reconcile. Seek mercy in confession right now. No matter how long it has been since your last visit, no matter how ashamed you may feel, go. You are not going to a man. You are going to Christ. I myself will be with you, inspiring you to speak the truth with humility. The purer your soul, the more gently you will live the truth when it is revealed in all its clarity. And the Eucharist, my children, how many have forgotten it? How many have reduced Holy Mass to a social custom, a cultural event, an obligation? The Eucharist is the heart of the Church and of the world. It is my living, real, present Son, hidden under the appearance of bread so as not to frighten you, so that he may enter you gently. When you receive communion in a state of grace, even if you feel nothing extraordinary, your whole soul is touched, strengthened, nourished. In times of inner darkness, those who are nourished by the body of my Son will have a special light to sustain them. Don't approach the Eucharist lightly. Do so with reverence, with recollection, with a heart aware of the one it receives. If you have been distant from it, begin again. If you have received communion out of habit, ask my Son today to let you feel, even for a moment, the greatness of this mystery. And if you cannot receive communion for any reason, make spiritual communions. Offer your thirst to Him, for He does not despise those who seek Him sincerely. I also want you to consider how you treat your time. Time is a precious and irreplaceable gift. Each day that passes is gone forever. And yet, how many hours are wasted on things that, in the end, leave nothing for eternity? Pointless arguments, empty entertainment, meaningless curiosities, compulsive consumption of images and sounds that leave the soul weary and parched. I'm not saying you shouldn't rest, that you shouldn't take breaks, that you shouldn't enjoy life's simple pleasures. I'm saying don't give your heart to what doesn't nourish it. Be mindful of what enters through your eyes, what occupies your thoughts, what dominates your conversations. In the great inner light, you will see how you used your time. You will see the hours when you could have loved more, listened more, served more, and instead chose indifference. But you will also see the moments when, in silence, you gave your time to someone in need, comforted the sick, smiled at a sad heart, listened to a child, a parent, a friend. None of that will be lost. Therefore, from now on, begin to sow seeds for eternity. Ask yourself at the end of the day, what have I done today that has value in the eyes of God? Not so that you live in anguish, but so that you live fully awake. My son, my daughter, there is something else I must tell you, something many don't want to hear. There will be purification, not only individual, but also collective. Not because God enjoys suffering, but because humanity has accumulated too much contempt for the law of love. When a body is sick, sometimes painful treatment is necessary to expel what is killing it. Likewise, many of the pains the world is already experiencing, and others that will come, are part of a process permitted by God to open our eyes, to dismantle false certainties, to make souls look upward. Don't be frightened by this. I don't want you to imagine senseless catastrophes, but rather to understand that everything God allows is for the salvation of many. There will be confusion, there will be times when it seems that evil triumphs, there will be news that tries to fill you with panic. But if you have learned to live on your knees, if you have learned to take refuge in my heart and in the heart of Jesus, if you have made prayer and the sacraments your nourishment, you will not be swept away. You may suffer, yes, you may weep, but you will not lose hope. Many ask, what must I do to be safe? And they seek physical refuges, hidden places, accumulations of possessions. I will tell you a secret from heaven. True refuge is not in a place on a map, it is in a place of the soul. The safest refuge, the one that no persecution can destroy, is my immaculate heart. He who truly consecrates himself to me, he who abandons himself to my care, will be guided even in the midst of the greatest tribulations. This does not mean that he will not suffer, it means that he will not be lost. I invite you, if you haven't already done so, to consecrate yourself to my heart, not merely as an outward rite, but as a profound decision. Mother, I entrust to you my past, my present, my future. I entrust to you my family, my possessions, my fears, my sins. Do with me as you will. Lead me to Jesus even when I resist. A soul consecrated to me is a soul marked in a special way. The enemy fears it because he knows he is not only fighting against that person, but against the mother who protects them. I know everything I'm telling you might seem like a lot, but you're not meant to experience it all at once, but rather step by step. Today, you give a small yes, tomorrow another, and so little by little, your whole life aligns with God's will. The important thing is that you don't backslide. that you don't get used to living in spiritual mediocrity. You were created for something great, to love and be loved eternally. Everything that doesn't lead you to that is small. There are still profound aspects of this great warning of love that I must reveal to you. I need to tell you about how hearts will be moved when the truth is seen, how many will weep not only from pain, but from a beauty they never suspected, how justice and mercy will embrace in a way you struggle to understand now. But I want each word to fall in its own time, like rain that the earth receives little by little, not to flood, but to make things sprout. Stay with me. Don't stray from this inner school where I am training you. While many continue to seek answers in places of confusion, you are being prepared from within, silently, profoundly. Heaven has a plan for you, for your home, for your story. And although you may now see it only as a vague invitation, there is a very concrete path that will unfold before your steps. My son, my daughter, now I need to draw you even closer to the mystery of what heaven is preparing, because I don't want you to be surprised like someone who sees something strange from the outside, but rather to experience everything as someone who has been lovingly warned, accompanied, and supported. What is about to touch consciences is not a spectacle for your eyes. It is a tremor for your heart. And yet, in the midst of that tremor, there will be such great tenderness that many will weep not only for their sins, but for a beauty they had never suspected. I want you to calmly understand what will happen in the depths of your soul when God's light is poured out in a special way. I'm not talking about a visible ray descending from the sky before the cameras, but something quieter, more intimate, more certain. Suddenly, in a moment known only to the heart of God, external time will seem to stop, and inner time will open like a book. You won't need words, you will know. You will feel it deep within, as if someone were calling you by name with a voice that has known you since before you were born. That voice will not be one of cold accusation. It will be the voice of the one who loved you every second, even when you were unaware of it. And in that voice, you will also hear my loving silence, because I will be there, very near, holding your gaze so that you can see without despairing. You will see your life as in a single glance, not as a blurry film, but as a clear line, where grace and response, love offered, and love accepted or rejected, intertwine. The first thing you will experience is the certainty that God exists, that He is alive, that He knows you, not as an idea, not as a learned doctrine, but as a living presence that envelops you inside and out. In a single instant, the doubts you raised for years to defend yourself against love will crumble. You will understand that you were never completely alone, not even in the darkest nights. You will see with a painful and beautiful clarity that every beat of your heart was sustained by Him. Then that light will begin to illuminate your actions, your decisions, your omissions. Not only what you did, but also what you could have done but didn't. You will see, for example, the faces of people you hurt, perhaps with a word, with silence, with betrayal, with an indifference you considered minor. You will feel for a moment what they felt. It won't be to crush you, but so you can understand the impact of every gesture, every phrase, every rejection. You will see that nothing is neutral when it comes to love. At the same time, you will see all the good that heaven tried to work in you and through you. You will see moments when a gentle inspiration invited you to do something good, and you responded, even though no one knew. That time you comforted a stranger. That time you helped without receiving thanks. That time you renounced a revenge that would have been just according to the world that time you offered your pain without making a fuss, you will see how those acts, which you considered insignificant, illuminated corners you never imagined and often halted the advance of evil in other souls. There will also be a moment when you will see your sins directly before the cross of my Son, not as a theory, but as a living reality. You will see that every lie, every act of violence, every infidelity, every act of contempt for the least among us did not remain suspended in the air, but fell upon him who offered himself in your place. You will understand, for the first time in profound depth, what it means that he was wounded by your sins, and that each of his wounds bears someone's name. There you will understand how much you have been loved, and how much it hurts love to be rejected. I won't hide from you that this moment will be painful. The masks will fall, the excuses will shatter, the justifications will prove fragile. You will even see the hidden intentions behind your actions, those you yourself had forgotten or disguised. But at the same time, and this is the key I want you to engrave within yourself, you will experience being looked upon with indescribable tenderness. You will feel that this gaze does not destroy you, but rather sustains you, invites you, calls to you. This tension between the pain of sin and the embrace of mercy will be the purifying fire that can change your life forever, if you say yes. Neither children, nor young people, nor the elderly will be left out of this inner awakening. Each will experience the light according to their own story, their capacity to respond, and what they have received. The youngest will experience it as a call to innocence, as an embrace that tells them they were never alone in the difficulties the world imposed on them too soon. Young people will feel it as a clash between the empty illusions the world sold them and the grandeur of God's plan for them. Many will weep as they see how they wasted their strength on things that distanced them from their true calling. The elderly will have the grace to review their entire journey. They will see how even losses, illnesses, and loneliness were places where God chose to meet them. And they will also see clearly where they resisted, where they closed doors. For many, it will be an opportunity to end their lives reconciled, at peace, in truth. But that peace doesn't depend on age, but on the openness of the heart. An open young person can live this experience with more wisdom than a hardened elder, and a humble elder can grasp in a single instant what they haven't experienced in years. I also want you to take something to heart. In that act of enlightenment, the works of lies will be exposed. Not only your own personal lies, but also the structures of deception that have been built over entire populations. Many will see how they were manipulated, how they were deceived by voices that presented themselves as saviors, but in reality, slowly led them away from the truth. It will be a time of unmasking. What was hidden will come to the surface, and that will cause confusion for some, but it will open the eyes of many who today walk as if hypnotized. How will souls react? Not all in the same way. Some, seeing themselves in the truth, will throw themselves spiritually into God's arms and into mine, like crying children who allow themselves to be comforted. That crying will be the beginning of a new life. Others will try to flee outward, seeking distraction, blaming others, denying what they have seen within themselves. There will be those who say, "It was nothing, it was just an impression, it was just a strange moment," and they will strive to extinguish the memory of that grace. However, what they have seen will not be easily erased. It will remain like a seed that may be rejected, but that will continue to call out. That's why I'm preparing you so much, because I want you, when that encounter with the truth comes, to side with those who allow themselves to be embraced. I want you, when you see your own wretchedness, to remember above all how much you have been loved. I want you, when you feel the shame of your sins, not to run away from God, but toward Him. The enemy will try at that moment to whisper to you that you are beyond redemption, that what you have seen is proof that you are irredeemably evil. I, on the other hand, will be whispering to your heart, now that you have seen the truth, let love remake you. Don't run away. Don't hide. Don't return to the darkness. There will also be great pain for the harm done to others. Some will realize with stark clarity how their decisions left wounds on children, husbands, wives, friends, and siblings. They will see how words spoken in a moment of anger were etched into the other's heart for years. They will see how the lack of presence, affection, and listening was like a lack of air in the lives of those in their care. This pain may be profound, but if you embrace it with humility, it will transform into a desire for reparation. Many, after this revelation, will seek reconciliation, ask for forgiveness, embrace those they hadn't embraced, and say, I love you, where they were previously silent. Not everyone will accept these changes. Some, even after seeing and feeling, will shut down. They will say to themselves, I don't want to change, I don't care. Heaven will respect that freedom, but the weight of that decision will be great. I tell you this now because I love you. Don't play with this moment. Don't say, when it comes, I'll see what I do. Begin to decide today, here, listening to these words. Say to God, even if only with a whisper, when you show me the truth, give me the strength to respond with love. Don't let me run away. That small prayer will open a path for grace to sustain you. I want you to imagine, too, the immense good that will spring from this work of mercy when souls respond. There will be sincere confessions, the likes of which haven't been seen in a long time, families reunited after years of estrangement, and vocations awakened in hearts that had never considered dedicating their lives to God. Many lukewarm faithful will be ignited by a new, deeper, and purer faith. Silent apostles will rise up in the midst of the world, mothers, fathers, young people, the elderly, who, without making a fuss, will radiate a different kind of peace, a different kind of light, a love that is not of this world. The places where people pray faithfully, the hearts that are silently preparing themselves right now, will become points of support for many who, after the illumination of their souls, will not know what to do with what they have experienced. They will seek answers, they will seek guidance, they will seek arms that will receive them without judgment, but also without deception. You can become one of those points of support if you allow grace to transform you. You don't need a title, you don't need human power. You need a heart that has allowed itself to be healed and that is willing to accompany others on their healing journey. Don't think you'll be perfect before you help. No one is. Even my most faithful children have their weaknesses. What I ask of you is that you be genuine, that you don't hide what God has done in you, that you aren't ashamed to say, I too was lost, I too was wounded, I too resisted, and yet mercy reached me. That humility will attract far more people than any elaborate speech. The world is tired of empty words. It needs living testimonies. I want you to understand something else. The great light in your conscience will not be the end of everything. It will be a door that can open into a deeper time of grace or, if rejected, into greater hardship. That is why I insist so much on preparation. If, after being visited by the truth, you return to living as before, the inner burden will be greater. It is as if a sick person, after having clearly seen their diagnosis and received the medicine, voluntarily decided not to take it. Heaven will offer you medicine, but it will not force you to take it. I will be there, praying for you so that you do not reject what so many prophets, so many saints, so many souls have hoped for. Perhaps you're wondering, Mother, will I truly be ready? Won't I lack faith? Won't I lack strength? I answer you with the tenderness I have for you. You are never completely prepared by your own strength. True preparation is this: recognizing that you need everything from God. The more you acknowledge your own poverty, the more capable you will be of receiving. The more you rely on my intercession, the more easily you will be able to get through what is to come. Don't try to imagine every last detail. You don't need to control. You need to trust. I speak to you now as a mother also of those you love. Perhaps in your heart are the names of children, husbands, wives, parents, friends who live far from God, who mock the faith, who seem to have closed hearts. You suffer for them, you fear for them, you weep in silence. I want you to know that your pain is not lost. Every tear you shed for a stray soul is gathered by me and presented before the throne of God. When the light touches their consciences, your tears will be the strength for them to say yes. Do not tire of interceding. Do not look only at what you see now. See with my eyes what can happen when grace bursts forth where today you see only rejection. And if you are one of those who feel distant, if you hear this almost by accident, with a hardened heart, with anger toward God, toward the church, toward me, I speak to you too. You cannot imagine how many times I have spoken your name in the silence of heaven. You cannot imagine how many times I have protected you without your knowing. You are not an enemy to me. You are a lost child whom I long to embrace. Even if you arrive at the moment of light in your worst state, if there in that instant you say, "My God, have mercy on me," all of heaven will move in your favor. My son, my daughter, while these words slowly penetrate your being, the world keeps turning. Many live as if none of this exists. Others feel a disquiet and cannot name it. Some, upon hearing, are moved and then quickly return to their distractions for fear of what the truth may demand of them. You are here at this point on the path, listening to your mother who speaks to you not to frighten you, but to offer you comfort in the midst of purification. I haven't said everything yet. I still need to show you how, in the midst of the darkest night, the sky prepares a dawn unlike any other. How from this great warning can spring an unexpected time of grace for humanity, and also what the dangers are of hardening one's heart after having seen the light. But so that you can receive what is to come, I need you to treasure in your heart everything I have told you so far, and let it mature in prayer, in silence, in concrete decisions.